How's it going? I'm Ryan, and today I'm going to go over the one trade that I took on QQQ. Had a bit of a choppy morning. I took some calls and got stopped out for a small loss. It was my only trade on the day. Couldn't really get a good read on things, so once I took that loss, decided to kind of back away as I wasn't seeing setups that I liked. That being said, though, we're on the daily time frame here. You can see that we have pretty interesting setup. Didn't close outside of yesterday's range. We got a quick push down and kind of reversed about halfway through the day. But overall, not the greatest day for trading or for price action. But we can take a look at some of the things I was watching here. So I had pre-market high around 438.2, pre-market low around 435.6, yesterday's low around 436.3, and yesterday's high around 438.6. Some of these zones we were watching around like 437.8 to 437.5. That zone from yesterday's high day, and then the previous day's zone as well. And then this zone from about 436.2 to 436.5. And all the way down here where we made that low a day around 435. And take a look at what we have here. So starting the day, kind of opened right in this zone and rejected, came down, held yesterday's low a day. From there, we pushed back up and created a new high on the day. Tested that 438. 438 was an area on QQQ yesterday that we had some trouble breaking above. It rejected off 438 a couple times. You can see even later in the day, almost got up to that, but it couldn't quite break through. So that 438 level has been very hard for QQQ to break above. And I'll throw on the EMA here, and we'll take a look at the first trade that I took. So the first trade that I took was calls on this candle here. Reason being, we had sold off, made this low, and then we got a push back into this area. We got a quick test of this zone, tried to push us down here, but we held that EMA. We had some bullish candles here, these hammer candles with long lower wicks, closing above that EMA and continuing to rise up. We then got a quick push in volume here as we made a new high on the day and came up and tried that 438 level. We pulled back into this zone, and I grabbed two calls right around like right kind of at the bottom of this zone. So what I was looking for was my stop was a break below this EMA, essentially around like 437.4. I set a pretty tight stop around 10-15%. I think it was like 12%. It was somewhere in between, a little bit more than 10, a little less than 15. I was targeting high a day, so I was targeting that 438, especially because it's been a level that we've rejected off of so much. But seeing that we made this low and then quickly recovered, had some volume, had a really bullish candle here leading into this area, and that we were maintaining price above that EMA, I was looking for a return to high a day and then potentially, continuation to the upside. We'll take a look at the 1 minute, and I'll get rid of this EMA as it's no longer relevant on the 1 minute here. And we'll take a look at what the 1 minute was showing us. So what I was watching is that we had this uptrend, right? We were forming higher highs and higher lows along this way, and we had a higher high on the day. I was watching this increase in volume here as we broke that high a day. So we had increasing volume, bullish on the 5 minute, bullish on the 1 minute, these nice green candles pushing through this zone, creating a new high a day. And then we had volume really drop off on this pullback. So you see volume really start to decline here as we pulled back to the bottom of this zone. So I got in calls right in here once it looked like we might hold the bottom of this zone. Another reason why I got in calls there is because we held support in this area in the morning before selling off, and then we had a little bit of resistance in this area before breaking above it. So I was looking for a return to this area to hold as resistance, as well as that EMA on the 5-minute as well, kind of being right in this area. My stop was below this 437.4 level, as we also had some kind of consolidation here previously. So I was risking, maybe about 10, 15, no, probably 10 to 12 cents. My first target was 438. And then I was looking to see if we broke above that, then I believe that we could push probably up to like 438.4 to that next zone. So pretty tight risk to reward. I think looking at this now, I would like to probably adjust this. And what I mean is I took a call when price was at the bottom of this zone. Ideally, I would want to take a call somewhere like in here, right? Where we break up into this zone and we're holding above it. We did have that decrease in volume. We did have, bullish momentum, decrease in volume as we pulled back to the EMA. That's a setup that I like to take. But I think the fact that we were kind of selling through this zone maybe showed or highlighted some of that weakness that we had. So for example, like if we can't break above this zone and we start pulling back to the downside, that's not necessarily a place I want to take calls. I'd rather take calls when we're above the zone and take puts when we're below the zone. So like puts here, good idea. Calls in these areas, good idea, right? Because we're holding either above or below that zone. So in this case, we were kind of below that zone when I took my calls, so that I could, go back and acknowledge that maybe that wasn't the best setup for me to take there. This setup was something that I was watching when we formed our low and then reclaimed yesterday's low a day. We also had some good volume when we were in there holding that level. We did have news come out at 8. So where's that 8 right here? That's where you see that big push up into there. I could have taken calls here and gotten a nice, 60-cent move or so, which would have been a nice winner. But I was kind of waiting for news to come out and to establish a direction. So at this point, we didn't really have a direction in the day, right? We had made a low, we were pushing back up. We didn't really have a series of higher lows or lower highs, etc., to form an uptrend or a downtrend. So here, once we broke above high a day, to me, I thought we had some bullish momentum. So that's why I was looking to go to the upside. Overall, pretty choppy day. Not the easiest thing to read. We did move kind of zone to zone. There were some trades to take. There were some moves to make. But overall, it was kind of tricky, and I was having a hard time reading it. SPY was in a similar situation, kind of chopping around zone to zone. And so just overall, not the easiest day for me to read. We got some better moves, I will say, in the evening, or in the afternoon, that is. You can see we had a pretty nice move zone to zone here. A lower high, continuation to break that lower low. Touched that 435 just about exactly, and that was the low a day before we made a big push, about $3 from there. So some of this price action later in the day was a little bit better. For example, like breaking above this zone, holding it, and then continuing to the next. That's a nice move. So yeah, I think just taking this trade at the bottom of this zone when we'd kind of showed some weakness and sold through it is something that I can acknowledge and learn from, and maybe not get myself into that position, and rather look to take trades once we are, break above and hold a zone rather than, sell through the zone and we're at the bottom of it. So that's the only trade I took. This candle got me out. I'm glad that I had a tight stop, because if I didn't, this candle happened pretty quick. There's a bit of momentum there that could have made that loss a lot worse. So having a tight stop in place kept me from having much of a loss today, and we're still up on the week, so we'll look to hopefully have some better price action in the following days. Had some sideways days lately that really don't present the best trading opportunities, but with this week, I think we have GDP coming out tomorrow. We have some PCE on Thursday. We should have some catalysts that will move price. So hoping that we get a little bit better price action, or maybe just something that works better for my system or that I can read. Obviously, like I said, there were some trades to take. Not saying that you couldn't have taken some of these, but it was a little difficult to read, especially looking at like the 5-minute when you have these long wicks to the upside, wicks to the downside, not really forming higher highs or higher lows. You can trade range to range, or level to level, I guess, rather, within that range is what I mean to say. But not the easiest thing to pull off sometimes. That's all I got for you. Thank you for watching. I do trade live Monday through Friday, so I'll be here the remainder of the week. And I hope you have a great rest of your day. Peace.